All right, all right, all right. Let's go. SEMA 2025 here from the Nexen Live booth. Let's get that volume up just a little bit. Going to bring the volume up so y'all can hear me out there. You know, we have had a great list of guests up here on the stage the last few days. Thinking ESPN College Game Day style. You know, we've got this setup up here. It's been a lot of fun. We had Mr. Cartoon on a day ago, Mike Giant on yesterday, some influencers. If any of you out there follow me, you know that I'm a Fox News, Fox Business guy. I'm on all the time talking about the business. I usually get to talk about cars, which I love, boats and all that stuff. But I get to talk about business, which is something that I love, and I haven't done that yet. So I brought David Harrison up from RNR Tire Express, and I wanted to talk about the business side of the industry. It's something that we don't talk about that much, David. You know, we've had a lot of fun up here, but I do want to talk about the industry as a whole, and this is something you've dedicated your life to. You're the number one top, distributor for this brand and another brand. Probably won't say that brand.
Yep.
But, tell us your story. I'd love to hear it. You're from Arkansas, right?
I am from Arkansas, and funny thing, I worked in a tire store at the age of 16, at Sears Automotive Center, and when I don't know, I probably worked there 6 months or so, and I told myself, I said, I will never touch another tire as long as I live. This will not be my life.
But I will sell them.
Well, it's really kind of odd. I had a completely different career. I was in the consumer electronics and appliance business on the wholesale side, and I saw this opportunity with R&R, and I was trying to get my company involved in the tire business to become a distributor, and we were 100 years old and had plenty of money, but they just weren't interested in it. So I decided to pursue it myself, and very quickly ended up teaming up with Nexen. I'd had previous experience with Korean brands in my other life.
Consumer electronics side, yeah, sure.
And so back in the late 80s, early 90s, there was this little brand out of Korea called Lucky Gold Star. And, it was super well featured. Everybody said, that's Korean junk. And I said, yeah, I don't know, but we had incredibly good experience with it. And Lucky Gold Star, incidentally, is LG Electronics today and LG Appliance. So
You told me that. I was with you a few weeks ago. You told me that.
Yeah, exactly.
Lucky Gold Star. And I'm like, man, I never heard of them before. You're like,
right,
dude,
exactly.
LG Electronics. I'm like, wow.
So, we were carrying Nexen, and I actually got asked by one of their Korean leaders, why in the world are you so dedicated to Nexen today? My daughter was with me, and she said, Dad, I remember when we were just getting started, and in our business, we give people a way to pay for things. So if you give people a way to pay for it, you got to keep it rolling, no matter what.
Yeah.
Regardless if it's a legitimate deal or not. And she started researching it, and she said, we have less problem with Nexen than any other brand that we sell. So from there, we became not Puritans, but we started moving more and more of our business towards Nexen. And when I did my research on them, they actually made their entrance into the United States, building one of the number one brand in the United States, which was Michelin. So, just a very, very good quality brand. They spend tons of money on research and development, and they've just continued to move up over the years to become a premium brand. And I know we're not allowed to talk about what they're doing, over the next couple of years,
Sure.
but they've got some top selling vehicles that they're going to be OEM on, and they. Like the Porsche Panamera, I got the chance to. Well, you and I experienced that.
It was right there.
Yeah, exactly.
It was right there.
Yeah, the super sticky tire, and with a 30,000 mile warranty, and seeing those things and how they grip and how they handle, and knowing that Nexen just continues to pour money in research and development. I thought about this morning. I had a chance to visit another manufacturer a year ago and look at their production. They were producing about 15,000 tires a day on a good day. I got to visit Nexen in Korea, and they were consistently putting out 30,000 tires a day, and it was just
that's a lot, man.
But they did so much with robotics. But do you know what they did by hand? They inspect every single tire. There were
Quality
two guys
control.
there that were sitting there looking at the things, and that's just the dedication that Nexen has to building a quality, safe product for consumers,
Right.
and incredible wear. My daughter used to tell people, when she would be selling, she wouldn't say it was that she was my daughter, but she would be working with a customer, and she'd say, "Well, the owner of this company always puts Nexen on his daughter's cars."
Yeah,
Anyway.
exactly.
So we've had a great experience with these guys.
You know, it's interesting to talk about this Panamera as well because Nexen brought in an outside driver, this guy Aaron, to drive these things. And I remember being part of the discussion about going out to this event as a journalist. And this was a part of the discussion there. Everyone was like, why do you have a Porsche Panamera out on a racetrack? And one of the guys from Korea was like, it's the right car to have on the track. Trust me. And we're like, I don't know about that. And then you get out there and this driver, because I was with him, I was interviewing him. And he was like, I can't believe for such a heavy, big vehicle how much it sticks to the ground. And I think for me as a testament, before they invited me to be up here and utilize their stage, this goes back about 6 or 7 years ago. I had a little performance car. BMW was a 328, so that tells you how old it is. It was an IS. And I put some Nexen tires on it. And the person at Nexen, when I talked to them about it, they said, look, it's a Tier 1 tire at a Tier 2 price, which made me kind of think, all right, I can get a better tire for the price. Switching gears a little bit, so I'm an enthusiast. I'm a car guy, also a business entrepreneurial type guy as well. Are you a car guy?
Yeah, of course.
Is this your first SEMA, or how many have you been to? Many. How many?
Lord,
Hundreds?
Probably, I would say somewhere between 16 and 18 of these.
What, have you walked the show this year?
I have, yes.
What's anything stick out to you? Anything you like? You're like, wow, that's cool.
Innovation is always, I hate to admit this, but the coolest thing I've seen here so far was a Scooby-Doo mini bike.
Yeah, I know, right?
But, it's so overwhelming because there's so many great builders out there that have.
It's wild.
It is. I mean, it's sensory overload,
Yeah.
so it's really hard to lock in on something. I have owned several old cars, and, the EFI, adaption for these old vehicles. That's really cool.
Yeah,
so I've looked at several of those, but
Yeah.
that's not my business. What I really need to be involved in is wheels and tires and paying attention to that. But
All right, so let's talk tires, right?
Sure.
Nexen comes out with an EV-capable tire. How do you think that's going to fit into your lineup?
Well, with the customer that we're doing business with, their vehicle tends to be a little older, so we're starting to see those. But absolutely, Nexen will be our go-to tire with that. And one of the things that I learned about that tire when we were in San Diego, I guess that was last year, that the rolling resistance was like 15% better than the average EV tire out there. And you start thinking about what that will do for battery life. You talk about, because I've got friends that have got EV vehicles and they have charge anxiety.
Yeah.
So if you start thinking about being able to extend 15%, I mean that's
It's
major.
a big deal.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, down in Arkansas, there's a lot more rural country ability to off-road. Is the MTX a good seller for you guys down there?
It is, and it is a bulletproof tire.
It is bulletproof.
Yeah. It's.
I have it on a rock crawler.
If you grab that one and then grab, I'm not going to name any other brand, but if you'll just feel of that thing, how heavy it is versus the next competitor.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's heavy, but for off-roading, it's soft. And what I mean by it is that tread pattern grips when you need it to grip on wet rocks. And I've done it before. I have a 75 Bronco. I've done it before. It's fantastic. If people want to learn a little bit more about your company and what you do, where do they go?
RNR Tire Express.com.
What's next for you?
Well,
I feel like I know you dabble in tires, but I know you. I know you're out there doing things.
Well, we're looking at another opportunity that I think will that will fit the market going forward, and I'm excited about that. We've got substantial real estate holdings, and we're continuing to grow that. But one of the things that is really important to me is being able to give back. And I've got a total of 44 stores now. 34 that.
That's a lot.
Yeah. So 34 that I operate myself, and then I've got 10 others where I've helped other people get started. So really watching those companies continue to develop and expand their footprint, and hopefully one day they'll all grow together. They're all touching, so we'll be united. But we're pretty spread out right now.
Yeah.
So.
I feel like we should be calling you David Harrison, the tire guy.
I don't know about that.
You've got how many years?
20 years.
20 years in the
Yes,
tire
sir.
industry. That's amazing. That's fantastic. Guys, awesome interview up here talking about the business side of the industry. David Harrison, President and CEO of RNR Tire Express. Appreciate you coming up here, spending time. One last shout out. Are you an Arkansas guy? Are you an SEC guy? No.
I'm going to disappoint you. I could care less about sports.
You're the second one. Where's Chris Van Den Elzen? Chris Van Den Elzen was up here yesterday. He's like, started asking him about sports. He's like, man, I ain't no stick and ball guy. I like to race cars. I'm like, all right, I'm with you, man. I'm with you. Well, thank you so much for joining. Yeah,
I need to clarify just one thing.
Yeah.
My company is actually Rental Concepts, and we're a franchisee of RNR Tire Express. So I am president and CEO of Rental Concepts.
Well, I asked you because it said it on there, and you're like, man, they'll recognize me with this. I'm like, man, you could be the CEO of all of them.
Well, anyway, I've had a lot of involvement in helping the brand grow over the years, but Larry Sutton, who is a very dear friend of mine, is the founder. And I would never take anything away from him. But,
well, I'm glad you clarified because I was running you down a rabbit hole. There was no return on that, so I'm thankful you got me on that one.
Thank you.
Awesome. All right, guys, we're going to be back here in a minute. Thanks again to Nexen Live and this stage, Nexen team, for hosting me, Mike Caudill, here at Chasing Horsepower. We'll be back up here in a minute with a special guest. You don't want to miss it.